All right, everyone, we have exciting news, actually, which is that Trump and Harris have both agreed to town halls on Univision. These will be separate events. They're not doing it at the same time. I believe Trump is on for the 8th, and then Harris is on for the 10th, if I remember correctly. I'm not referring to a link in the description. You can see the dates for yourself. I may or may not live react to these, but I'll definitely be watching them because it'll be interesting. Here's what I believe. Donald Trump tends to be very good with town hall style formats. Kamala Harris tends to be rather vacuous. The only problem is that if Kamala Harris comes out and refuses to answer a question, and she will be softballed, by the way, it's Univision, then, there's really no recourse because, there's no opponent to actually challenge her on that. Donald Trump really needs to accept her premise of a second debate. I know that I run up against some of my own audience on this, but again, I will explain. All Donald Trump has to do to guarantee re-election is wait for the inevitable moment that Kamala Harris has a vacuous moment and refuses to answer even the basic premise of the question, goes off into la-la land, point it out, put her on blast, cede your time, and allow her to respond. That's all you have to do. It would be, effectively, it would be similar to Chris Christie's takedown of Marco Rubio. Well, there you go. There's the 10-second scripted answer, and he literally has a robotic meltdown. That takedown, by the way, one of the most strange things that I've ever seen. I think Chris Christie himself, actually, was a little bit confused. He looked slack-jawed. He's like, what the fuck is going on over here? Trump can catch her if he does that. But the town halls will be important. Donald Trump has a fairly fleshed-out platform. In fact, if anything, it's a little bit too obtuse. I think that voters have difficulty taking in hundreds and hundreds of ideas in the same electoral cycle. Harris's platform is basically, I copied Trump's homework a half a dozen times, and I have a couple of ideas about what we're going to do. Like, let's say she's asked about tax policy, for example. Well, I think the tax is very important for funding the economy. That's exactly how she'll answer. With Trump, it's more like, oh, here's my tax policy. I want to continue the tax cuts that I delivered to the broad American public. I want to elaborate upon them. I want to bring more tax relief. Something like that. It'll actually be like substantive. And here's the real importance. People are going to see both of these town halls. Although I suspect that the legacy media will simply cut Trump to pieces on their reporting after his, and then gloat over Harris and how wonderfully she did after her. She goes a couple days later. But the American people will see, I think, a different story, which is that they're going to see Trump probably in prime form. He seems to really like town hall style, events, actually answering questions versus Kamala Harris not answering a goddamn thing. Never being able to actually make people understand where she stands on any substantive issue. She's one of these focus group Democrats. That's what you can term them. Just like Hillary Clinton. It's almost like Hillary Clinton is the Sith Lord. She's Palpatine. And then the Sith apprentice, Darth Maul, that's Kamala Harris. That's basically the dynamic that I see. She needs a focus group or at least a group of advisors to tell her where she stands on issues, because she's only trying to get elected. She doesn't have any actual credibility with regards to ideology or anything like that. She's simply trying to get elected. So basically, if 51% of the population supports something, she's all on board with it. Unless it conflicts with some other issue, in which case, you just resort to idpol and call your enemy a sexist or something like that. That's her entire campaign, actually, at this point. It's rather sad, too, because the Democratic Party used to at least make a goddamn attempt. They don't appear to be making an attempt right now, are they? No, basically, they had staged a palace coup, forced out the incumbent, and people aren't even talking about this anymore. This is huge political news. This is a once-in-a-century sort of event. In fact, I don't know that it's really happened in U.S. history before. We've had a lot of firsts in this particular election cycle. They cycle him out, push him aside and say, fuck off. You know, you're going to the funny farm, basically, and everyone knows that he needs to go there, especially after his speech the other day. Joe Biden is still not completely self-aware at this time. And then you bring in the VP, because it's the only person you can bring in and remain on the ballot in at least 3 different states. Otherwise, you've completely thrown the election. And the Democrats are scratching their heads right now and saying, oh shit, we're stuck with Kamala. And we had that piece. You remember, this was about 2 months ago. You remember when James O'Keefe, dyed his hair blonde and put on glasses and managed to seduce a member of the White House Security Council, or cybersecurity chief, rather. And he's like, oh, everyone hates Kamala. No, nobody likes her, but we're stuck with her. And she's going to be, the running mate, because there's nothing we can do about it, because it would look bad for the campaign if we forced out a strong black woman. She's BIPOC. She's not actually of African heritage, but whatever. The Democrats have invented their own ridiculous fantasy with regards to ethnicity and race. We're stuck with her, basically. Well, that really does it now, doesn't it? The fact is that they don't really want to run Kamala Harris. And there are reasons for that are fairly obvious, but they have no choice. On Univision, she's probably going to get softballed. That is, they're not going to allow the audience members to ask her hard-hitting questions. It'll be more like what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? And then she's going to duck behind the podium and whisper to a staffer through her earpiece and say, what's my favorite, which ice cream flavor is the favorite in the United States? I need to sync with the voters. Well, ma'am, 35% of voters prefer chocolate, but 35% also prefer vanilla. Oh, shit. And then she's just going to whirl around into she's just going to go crazy. There was a famous cartoon about Hillary Clinton with regards to this. Another one about Angela Merkel, actually. That one was Russian-made, though, and was a little bit on the aggressive side, although it was hilarious. She's not going to be able to answer people's questions. So she's going to get softballed. Trump's going to get hardballed. But even then, in the end, I have a feeling that Trump will take the upper hand. He's simply better at that kind of format. It's just like CNN, their format backfired. If you had let Trump do run-on sentences, he wouldn't have won that debate so handily. He wouldn't have done nearly as well. I'm just hoping that we get another presidential debate. I mean, town halls are great and all that. I want to see them go head-to-head one more time. Keep in mind, we've also got Vance v. Walz. I can't remember exactly which date that's going to be on, but that's going to be probably one for the ages, because Tim Walz is just as vacuous as Kamala Harris, and J.D. Vance is even more focused than Trump, so it's going to be absolutely fucking great. I can't wait to watch the vice presidential debate as well. That's about all. Peace out.